The young and the restless thrives on secrets, betrayals, and the inevitable fallout when carefully guarded lies come crashing into the light. In a twist that promises to shake Genoa City's foundation, Lauren Fenmore discovers a devastating deception at the hands of her husband Michael Baldwin, and the confrontation ends with her storming out. Meanwhile, across town, Kyle Abbott reaches his boiling point with Audra Charles, and his rage takes a dangerous turn. The calm before the storm. Lauren had always prided herself on knowing her husband better than anyone else. Through his struggles with power, his redemption arc, his triumphs as an attorney, and his darkest insecurities, she stood beside him. That's why, when she began to sense cracks in his facade recently, she dismissed them at first as work stress. Michael was, after all, Genoa City's master of compartmentalization. But as the weeks dragged on, the late nights grew more suspicious, the half-truths harder to ignore. Lauren's instincts, sharpened by years in business and survival in a city where secrets are currency, told her something was very wrong. She was right. Michael's web of lies. The truth came to light in the most painful way possible. A folder, misplaced in Michael's briefcase, landed in Lauren's hands. At first, it looked like another routine legal document, until she realized it detailed payments and connections between Michael and Victor Newman. Not unusual, considering Michael often worked for Victor. But this wasn't about legal counsel. It was about Claire Grace. The paper suggested Michael had helped cover up aspects of Claire's past to protect Victor and Nikki from scrutiny, even going so far as to lose key evidence in her case file. To Lauren, it wasn't about whether Claire deserved a second chance. It was about trust. Her husband had hidden his involvement, lied to her face about late-night meetings, and chosen Victor's loyalty over their marriage. For Lauren, it was a betrayal that cut deeper than an affair. This wasn't about love or lust, it was about integrity, and Michael had compromised his. The confrontation. Lauren confronted him in their living room, folder in hand, her eyes blazing with fury. "You let me believe you were working late on cases that had nothing to do with us," she said, her voice sharp with disbelief. "All this time, you were bending the law for Victor, again. How many times have I begged you not to let him use you like this?" Michael tried to explain, his usual calm demeanor cracking. "Lauren, I had no choice. Victor needed someone he could trust. If Claire's past came out in the wrong way, it could have destroyed everything for Nikki. I wasn't just protecting him, I was protecting." "Don't you dare say you were protecting me," Lauren snapped. "You were protecting your ego. You love being Victor's go-to guy, the one he trusts above everyone else. And you lied to me about it." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, with tears brimming in her eyes, Lauren whispered the words that shattered the Baldwin household. "I can't do this anymore. If you can't be honest with me, what's left? I won't be married to a man I can't trust." She grabbed her purse, leaving Michael stunned, and walked out, the echo of the door slamming behind her ringing like a death knell. Michael left alone. Michael Baldwin was rarely at a loss for words, but in that moment, he was broken. Alone in the quiet house, he realized that his attempt to play hero had cost him the one person who truly mattered. The woman who had stood by him when no one else would. And for once, there was no quick fix, no clever legal maneuver, no grand speech that could undo the damage. Michael Baldwin, the master manipulator, the fixer, was powerless. Meanwhile at society, Kyle and Audra. While the Baldwin marriage unraveled, another storm brewed at society. Kyle Abbott, restless and furious, sat across from Audra Charles. Their alliance had always been tenuous, fueled by ambition and attraction but poisoned by mistrust. Kyle had recently caught wind that Audra was using him, and Abbott, as leverage in her ongoing schemes with Tucker McCall. Kyle had been raised to expect betrayal in business, but this felt personal. Audra had wormed her way into his life, promising partnership, then twisted the knife by flaunting her connections and manipulating his family's company. Now, Kyle wanted answers, and revenge. "Audra," Kyle said, his tone sharp enough to cut glass, "you think you're clever, playing both sides. But I'm done being your pawn. If you keep pushing, you're going to regret it." Audra leaned back, a sly smile on her face. "You talk big, Kyle. But let's not pretend you're innocent. You came to me. You wanted to get back at your family, to prove yourself. Now that it's inconvenient, you're trying to rewrite history." Kyle slammed his hand on the table, startling the few diners nearby. His temper, the Abbott temper he'd inherited, boiled over. "This isn't a game anymore, Audra. If you try to cross me or jab it again, I'll make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what you've been doing. You'll be finished." The threat hung heavy in the air. For the first time, Audra's smirk faltered. Genoa City divided. The fallout of these confrontations rippled through Genoa City. Word spread quickly. Lauren had walked out on Michael. The Fenmore's side of the family rallied around her, whispering that perhaps it was time Lauren put herself first after years of standing in Michael's shadow. On the Abbott side, Jack warned Kyle to tread carefully, but his son's determination was unshakable. Kyle was tired of being underestimated, tired of betrayal, and ready to take risks, even if it meant dragging Audra down with him. Nikki, meanwhile, found herself caught in the crossfire. Michael's lie had been for her protection, but the collateral damage threatened to undo everything. Nikki blamed herself for Michael and Lauren's implosion, yet Victor, in typical Victor fashion, saw it as the cost of doing business. The emotional fallout. Lauren, staying temporarily with Fenmore in Los Angeles, poured her heartbreak into late-night phone calls with her son. Fen urged her not to give up on Michael so easily, reminding her of all the times they'd fought to stay together. But Lauren's voice cracked with exhaustion. "How many times do I have to forgive him for putting someone else before me?" she asked. "I love him, but love isn't enough if I can't believe him." Back in Genoa City, Michael sat alone in his office, staring at the wedding photo on his desk. For the first time in years, he questioned whether he had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Kyle's dangerous game. Kyle's anger at Audra didn't subside. Instead, it grew into a dangerous obsession. He began gathering evidence, recording conversations, digging into financials, watching for cracks in her armor. The more he uncovered, the more he realized how deeply entangled Audra was with Tucker's schemes. But the real danger wasn't in what Kyle found. It was in how far he was willing to go. Threats became intimidation, and soon, Kyle crossed lines that left even Audra rattled. One night, after a heated exchange outside the Grand Phoenix, Kyle grabbed her arm and hissed, "If you think I'm bluffing, test me. I promise you won't like the outcome." Audra, shaken but refusing to show fear, pulled away. Yet the look in her eyes betrayed her unease. Kyle Abbott had changed, and not for the better. A shattered love, a brewing war. Lauren and Michael's marriage teetered on the edge of collapse, while Kyle and Audra's war threatened to spill into the boardrooms of Genoa City's most powerful companies. The Baldwin lie and the Abbott threat weren't isolated scandals, they were sparks in a powder keg, each threatening to ignite long-simmering rivalries and resentments. For Lauren, the question became, could she ever trust Michael again? For Michael, the challenge was whether he could truly change, or if his loyalty to Victor would always come first. For Kyle, the choice was even darker: continue down a path of vengeance that could consume him, or pull back before he became the very thing he despised. And for Audra, survival was her specialty, but even she knew that when an Abbott declared war, the fallout was inevitable. The cliffhanger. As Friday's episode drew to a close, viewers were left with two stunning images. Lauren, standing on the balcony of a Los Angeles hotel, staring at her phone as Michael's name lit up the screen, before she hit decline. Kyle, in his dimly lit office at Jabbit, pouring himself a drink, muttering to his reflection, "She thinks she can play me. She has no idea what's coming." In Genoa City, love, lies, and revenge are always intertwined. And as these two storylines unfold, fans are left to wonder, who will win, who will lose, and who will be left shattered in the wreckage.